right, 2 minutes. All right, 2 minutes.
All righty. Excited.
All right. Deep breaths.
Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Jeez.
I got a face for radio, so pardon that.
Yeah, I hear that. I also have a face for radio. No one should see this.
This will be the first time I've handled a Zoom meeting where I'm not talking to 8th graders, so this will be fun.
So you teach 8th grade?
Yes.
Wow, you're brave.
Yeah. It's never a dull moment. That's all I can say.
8th graders are kind of brutal, man.
Oh, they are.
They really, they insult you in like the perfect way. It's like, it's so deep to the core of like, ow, how'd you find like my deepest insecurity?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've got this one kid that came up to me a couple years ago, and I always remember this. And they looked at me. I moved the seating chart, so they ended up from across the. I always remember the desk, and the kid looked at me and goes, "Wow, I didn't know your teeth were that white." Nice to see you.
What does that mean? Okay.
All
right, 7 o'clock.
7
Live
o'clock.
stream time. Okay, so real quick. Hi, everyone. I'm Reba. I am the development director here at WRFL. And this is our first ConceptX. I'm super excited. If you don't know what ConceptX is, it's the mix between the conceptual and the experiential of music. And our first presenter of Music Ed is our very own Tommy Mizla. He is a veteran DJ here at WRFL. His show, Old School Hip Hop, on what day, Tommy?
Mondays, 10 to midnight.
All right. We have a really good presentation coming for you, and we're so happy that you're here. So please enjoy. Tommy, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much. What's going on, Internet land? My name is Tommy Mizla. As you just found out, I am on Monday nights. Old School Hip Hop is always in full effect. WRFL, the greatest station on earth. And if you don't know my whole story, I've been there for a while. Originally started out doing general formatted shows, but slowly my show has evolved into where now it's an old school hip hop show. I used to joke around and say the reason I didn't do the old school hip hop show in the beginning is I was waiting for all the hip hop to become old school so I could actually do an old school show. So now that it's all old school, well, the rule of the show is it's got to be at least a decade old, unless, of course, we're doing some kind of show where there's like a spotlight or a subject matter going on, like if it's all about political unrest, or, you know, a certain performer's like passing or birthday, we may do a show where we feature songs that are newer. So yeah. Anyway, glad you guys tuned in. I do have a PowerPoint I was going to kind of go through with you and talk to you about some things. The main topic today, of course, is crate digging in the crazy world we live in. If you don't know what the word crate digging means, it's literally what you do when you look for records, when you're actually either at a yard sale, in a record store, it could be secondhand store, it could be, you know, somebody on the block just got a crate, an old milk crate full of records, and you're just digging through the crate to find a record that you feel is worth the time and you're listening. So I myself have been crate digging for decades. A lot of things I have actually dug out and crate dig that I use on my show are things that I either heard through WRFL or played on my show that were in the play box. Because like I said early on, I was a general formatted DJ. I would just play general stuff, but I would always lace my sets with dope hip hop. And WRFL has always been one of the dopest ways and the dopest places to find that kind of stuff. So no doubt, one love on that. Gonna get into this presentation, start that real quick. Give me a second to pop this thing up because I'm not a pro, but here we go. Check 1, 2. Here it is. Share content. Let's see. Can we do it? Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's see here. All right. So you guys see that, I hope. It says crate digging for non-mainstream music, past and present. And as you said, or as I said earlier, crate. There's a crate right there. WRFL, I fill a crate up every week and bring it down to play my set whenever, before COVID hit. Now I do it live from the laboratory, AKA the spot you saw me in when this whole thing started. So yeah, that's going on. Want to say, crate digging's changed, but it's always been around. So a couple of things I wanted to get into, because I didn't know where this thing was going to go when I started, was, you guys out there that are DJs at RFL, a lot of you are that are paying attention to this thing right now. Appreciate you. Our mission at WRFL, for those that don't know, is we're, as it says here, a non-commercial radio station. Our source of music and news and other programming are not regularly found through other media outlets in Central Kentucky. In other words, 99% of the time, we're offering music that no other media station is broadcasting on the airwaves. And, that's actually broadened since you think about the internet and how the fact that we are now going everywhere. But if it's in the region, it was kind of a interesting scope to have. But now, of course, we're talking the whole world. So, and the thing is, all of us here at the, WRFL, we're here for two reasons. You all that are listeners are here because you understand and appreciate non-commercial. One love for that. Thank you. But as people who work and run with RFL, whether we direct, DJ, etc., either we just love the music community and we want to explore it and let others into the realm that we're finding in our own exploration, or maybe you're wanting a job in communication, and WRFL is just that step in accomplishing that, and you're trying to learn how to run and work within the communications industry, or maybe it's both, which is a bonus. When I started out here, it was both, and I ended up staying here because when I was in the communication school and I was studying and I got into RFL many, many moons ago, what I noticed was everything I liked about RFL gets taken away in the commercial world. And we've had a lot of great people that have went on to do programming and engineering within these radios, TV stations that came through RFL. And I have nothing but love for them. I'm not saying that, but for me as a personal person, DJ, the part of DJing I really liked was going to be taken away and I couldn't. So I changed majors and ended up later on finding my home in education for my employment and what I enjoy doing. But I stayed at RFL and I've been there since. So yeah, I'm a teacher. There you go. Teacher, come and say. So a couple of things that, when you're at RFL, since we are the non-mainstream places you don't look for music, commercial radio stations, never go there, of course. If it's on the Billboard Top 100, probably shouldn't be played on RFL. You have commercials and TV shows that'll play songs. Again, if you're catching them there at weddings or in clubs, it's probably already too late for us to promote them because we're trying to hit those artists that haven't quite yet made it. Once they make it, we kind of pull back. That's just the way it is. That's just kind of what we do. Greatest hits albums, because we're generally, if we're playing an artist that's well known, we're probably not going to play their hits. We're going to play some of those deep album cuts, right? Cafes and restaurants, unless you know the owners and they're playing just some dope material while you're there drinking your latte, probably not the best place, but you could probably find some music that has its own radio station. Classic rock, R&B, unless it's like some up and coming rare, I don't know. Modern country, they've got their own stations. They don't need WRFL to help them. Okay, it's just simple facts. When would you probably, there's exceptions to every rule. When would you probably play mainstream music at RFL? If you had a show, and I think I spelled commemorating wrong, commemorating an artist, whether it be them passing a milestone like a birthday, an anniversary of one of their albums, maybe you're playing it for that. Maybe you're doing a show on a subject and the song relates to your subject. So you will play like maybe a mainstream song. Like, for example, you're doing a song or a show about fame, and you decide to play David Bowie's Fame right in the middle of your show because it kind of flows with what you're doing. There you go. Maybe the artist is actually in the studio with you and you're interviewing them. You may want to play their stuff. Like here's a good example here. There's MF Doom sitting on the couch. No, I have not had MF Doom on the couch at 88.1. That would have been pretty dope if I did, but I just figured it'd be a good picture for that. I have actually met MF Doom, but he was Zeb Love X back in the day, and he was opening for third base at Bogarts. Anytime the RFL plays an artist that's not yet heard, we're going to help that artist go into mainstream media. And then it's very bittersweet for us as DJs, because that little indie artist is now spread its wings and now the world sees it, you know. A good example of artists, I remember when Sharif Abdullah was our hip hop director here at WRFL back in the day. I think he quit mid 2000s, the first decade, but he was here for a while, maybe 15 years or something, 10 or 15 years. And he brought me a bootleg CD back in 98, 97 of Eminem Slim Shady EP. Okay. So he let me hear this. It was amazing. He would play it on a show, and he let me play it a couple times. But we were hearing Eminem before Dr. Dre heard him, right? Once Dr. Dre heard him, once the world heard him, it was already too late. You know, he had been at Scribble Jam, freestyle battling that same year. That's where Sharif actually, I think, saw and maybe picked up the EP. And it was amazing. And it was kind of like, dang, man, this is all, you know, but that's a good example. Other songs, you know, and this is all, I know this kind of dates me a little bit. Some of this stuff is old. But hey, I'm just trying to show you examples of things we don't really get on the air at RFL. And of course, they're going to be in the hip hop vein of things. We got Rapper's Delight, the first hip hop song ever. Great. It was groundbreaking. But at the same time, it's just been overplayed and used so much. And, you know, it actually wasn't the real. If you go back and look at the history of hip hop, and I'll show you something later on in this thing where you can actually find a good history of hip hop. You know, those guys that on that weren't even the original pioneers of the hip hop. It was actually, anyway, long story. Walk This Way, Run DMC. I'll talk about that. That kind of broke mainstream hip hop. It was their third try. Okay. Ice Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice. Yeah, she never. Okay. The whole No Limit catalog, which is a hip hop, rap label from the South, really, honestly, mainstream as it came out. Like it was literally, that's what it was. It was never really underground. Anything from Kanye, Diddy, really, they kind of came out as mainstream artists. Black Eyed Peas, post Fergie, shouldn't really be playing anything like that. Will Smith, After Parents Just Don't Understand, everything, man. And he's a talented guy, a great actor. Not really RFL's place to play him. Humpty Dance. I remember when Digital Underground dropped their album before Humpty Dance was a single, and actually RFL was playing it twice every hip hop show every week because people were requesting it so much. Then the video came out and it just kind of disappeared from the show. Most gangster rap, Past, Present, and Future. There's always an exception, you know, like my exception would be like a song by the Ghetto Boys, Mom Playing Tricks. That's probably one of the most groundbreaking gangster rap songs, and it just happened to be so good it went to mainstream. Sometimes you have to break those rules. Hammer's catalog. MC Hammer, what do you call him? He literally is epitome of mainstream, him and Vanilla Ice. If it's on the charts, it's a no-go. License to Ill, the Beastie Boys. Intergalactic, I also should have put Sabotage on there. Those songs, Beastie Boys are one of my favorite groups of all time, but those songs are very much mainstream and they can be heard anywhere. And that's what a lot of people who that's the only thing they know about the artist. We're trying to like expose them to other parts, deep album cuts, you know, Pause Boutique, Check Your Head, Ill Communication, great albums. You know, you stay away from the singles. There's lots of stuff on those you can play. In fact, we were probably playing them when other stations weren't around here. That's how it was. Any artist that comes out straight into the mainstream, like Drake, okay? He was like an actor before he was a rapper. He wasn't a rapper that became an actor like LL and Will and Latifah. You know, he actually was an actor who became, so he was already a mainstream kind of person when he came out. Nothing against him, just doesn't need our promotions. Walk This Way was a single by Run DMC that changed everything, okay? And I remember when it happened. It was crazy, okay? But when this single came out, you got to understand, Run DMC was trying to get mainstream appeal for a while. They did Rockbox, had a guitar in it, rap song. They said it wasn't heavy enough. They did King of Rock where they're screaming and they made this crunchy sound. And again, MTV and the radio said it was not rock enough. Then they do Walk This Way where they actually put a broke up, aging white rock band in the video, and suddenly they're all over the place. And then hip hop just kind of went on crazy like that, you know. It became, you know, even though it was mainstream, it wasn't around here because stations weren't playing it. You know, mainstream, MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, Gangsta Rap, Underground, Jungle Brothers, De La Soul, Rakim, Third Base. You know, we're looking around 89, 90 with this, okay? So that's what your difference is in mainstream. Now, we talk about crate digging, okay? Used to be you went into a record store and you found records and sometimes you could hear them or not, whatever. When the 80s ended, there was this big change and CDs were marketed for the next record collecting, you know, thing to be. And the records were going to go to the side, they said. CDs were going to take their place. And so a lot of these bigger record labels sold off the record making machines. And this, of course, made it to where indie labels could just pop up and start putting stuff out. I mean, this helped with indie rock, but it also helped with indie hip hop. Okay. You had all of these labels coming out. And so artists didn't have to be you know, approved by a record label, they could go to an indie and they didn't have to like change their message or change their material just to fit a niche, right? They could actually already, you know, you had labels like Raucous and Fondle and Wreck Records. Actually, it's Nervous Wreck, Stone's Throw, Rhymesayers, Soul Sides. Some of those labels, a lot of them are gone. Rhymesayers, I know, is still around. You know, Sub Pop, The Real Kill, Epitaph, Fat Possum are examples of non-hip hop, man. But it was crazy. Made it easier because you could look at the label on the record and decide if you wanted to buy it. You know, you looked at that label and you're like, this is dope. This indie release, I think I'm going to check this out. This is the same label so-and-so's on. Oh, you know, blah, 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 produced by whoever. So yeah, labels became a big thing. Then the late 90s, you have the internet come along, right? And record executives recognized this. And so they realized their cash cow was leaving the farm. They were literally about to lose everything. And what I mean by that is everybody was going to start downloading music, and they realized it. So suddenly they're not, they're selling off their record labels, made them public, the stock's public. This hurt everything, okay? Because now artists, local record shops, we're not going to get as much product, right? And so you have record shops starting to close because now they're not being pushed as much. So like, even though they were shifting into CDs and still had records, now these shops aren't getting any less product, and people are going out less because they're doing it online. And the record labels knew that. So the people kind of pulled away. And when they did, it made, you know, if you go to the mid-late 90s in Lexington, look how many record stores we had right there. Okay, we had Cut Corner, Bears Wax, Spy Records, Slip Disc, G-Town Sounds, Disc Jockey had at one point, three locations. Camelot Music, Fayette Mall, Record Bar, Musicland, Holiday Records, Barney Miller's, right? And then 99, you had like Sammy's Music opened up, former DJ from RFL. He is actually our former music director at RFL, by the way, Sammy, who owns the album over there. And the album, by the way, ended up moving where Bears Wax used to be. Another DJ, former from RFL, man. There's a lot of people in our community working in record stores and in music that used to work at the station. That's just one of the beautiful things. That's what WRFL does. It brings us all together. So the internet changes this, okay? Hope you guys are with me. I know I'm talking fast. Of course, out of this too, with Sam, you know, also should say where Cut Corner is right now. It was actually where they were, their second location. They were above what is I can't write there on the Crumbs, I guess. They used to be above there. Then they moved over to the location where now CD Central that opened up in the mid 90s in South Hill, and then moved over into their location. So you had a lot of shifting as the record stores kind of shrunk down. But right here, this is what I wanted to tell you. And I have a supplement that will have this in it later. But there's a documentary called I Need That Record that talks all about the record stores changing and how the industry completely changed. I'm sorry, I was grabbing my beard. Completely changed. And it's not only about hip hop, but it talks all about, like I said, the music and the indie labels coming up and how artists were suddenly not allowed to do things. So it's only 117 minutes long, and it is actually on YouTube. I checked. So it's called I Need That Record. It's a great documentary. Changes. So now record labels become profit driven, right? The ones that are still around because the stocks have went public. So now it's no longer about developing artists. If you do go to a record label, they want a single that's going to make them a lot of money. The art of the album began to fade in the mid to late 90s. You know, artists still put them out, but the record labels are looking more for the single after that. And it makes people start to not think big picture. That cheapens it a little bit. An artist puts out a record, label pays them a small portion and asks for the next single. The next one's whack. They just move on and leave them kind of hanging, right? So, you know, you have like Thong Song by Cisco. What else has he done? Mims, This Is Why I'm Hot. I put Baby Back Got Back on this list because even though it was pre the record label breakdown, this one single by Sir Mix-a-Lot made it to where he couldn't do other albums because they wanted his next Baby Got Back song. So that kind of ended his career because now he was only known for that song and he had to do the part 2 or something, you know, Baby Got Neck, who knows? Okay, Kia, my back. See, so that kind of happened. The setback was record labels. When they did this and went to singles, they no longer developed new artists and they started dropping all their subsidiaries like Zomba, which had Souls of Mischief, Too Short, Boogie Down Productions, and KRS-One. So you had all these bands that were legendary. They wouldn't even had a chance in today's world because all of these great old school hip hop artists I played had a chance to develop their sound. When they were signed to a record label, they were given 2 or 3 albums to produce a sound, right? Most of our legendary people that happened with. In that documentary, I Need That Record, I can't remember which member of the Talking Heads they talked to, but they talk about how the way the industry's set up now, or, you know, when this thing was made, 2008, I think is when it came out, They said they would have never gotten they would have never been heard. They would have given up, because it wasn't until like their third or fourth album that the Talking Heads got a following and people would started following and liking what they were doing. You know, I think it might have been the song, what is it? Wasted days go by, blood and water. And then people bought that and loved that album so much, they went back and bought their catalog to see how they got to that point, to watch them evolve as an artist. Okay. That's kind of disappeared. You know, it's all singles. So that's kind of why it's crazy. It's really hard to crate dig, right? Because a lot of these bands, you know, the labels went away. But the good news is, and I'm going to get into this now, the internet kind of evens the field a little bit. So these artists like Prince, Talking Heads, Run DMC, Sonic Youth, etc., who really didn't catch on to like their third or fourth album, we would have never heard of them in today's world. There would have never been a Prince. There would never been a Talking Heads. Run DMC, Walk This Way was on their third freaking album. Okay, Sonic Youth, it was Daydream Nation. It broke them through. I'm like, that's like their fourth or fifth, I believe. So yeah, I mean, the industry's changed as far as what we consider mainstream. So you got to really dig to look. Okay. There's always one-hit wonders. Yeah, blah blah. I guess I was just saying that, songs about that. It's just talking about how superficial became the topic online. If you you had to basically be talking about, you know, one of those subjects, relationship trouble, sex, bling, drugs, and guns. You know, and there were exceptions though that would come along. Like Black Eyed Peas had that song "Where Is the Love," right in the middle of all that. So every once in a while, an artist will do something that's socially, you know, making a statement and get pulled up. And like right now, with all the changes happening in America, I hate to say it, every artist that's mainstream is going to do one of those songs, like a token thing to do. Some of them are going to be good and they really mean it. Others just understand what's happening. So pay attention. You know, I will say groups like Run the Jewels, they've always been saying these things. So they're not standing on no trend. They've been saying we need to make changes in the world anyway. So there are groups that have been going like that. Double-edged sword right now with the internet and with record stores closing. You know, I've dug for records all over the place, but it's just when I started RFL, you know, the indie underground is everywhere. You know, take the good, take the bad. With technological advances, now you can find music online. You don't have to go and travel all over the place. The internet brings the music to you. You just got to know where to look and where to shop, right? Finding places to find it. And I'm going to show you guys some places that'll have that to where you can find music. So now when you crate dig, you have a few record stores here in town. There's 3 or 4, right? You can also go and find other places. And so with the internet, you have all these technical advances, devices, it's available. There's a market there that's saturated with millions of performers. Some are very super talented and they can bypass the internet and get their message out. And you can find them with them not having to alter what they say to make a profit. Then you have just anybody, you know, can pick up a guitar and go and put it on there and there it is and you find it, you know. So it's a double-edged sword. You're going through you got all of this stuff. So you've eliminated the middleman. Places you can go. Bandcamp, WRFL, listen to our station, talk to experienced DJs, crate dig that way. Internet search. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Go to a record store. They're still there. Go. Discogs. It's around. You can find older indie stuff. Talk to your friends. Find music that way. Those are the best places to go. Bandcamp. If you go to their site, you can go down so many great wormholes and find all these great artists that have put their stuff out. The benefit of this is the artist gets so much of the prop money. They get more than any other site, but you can just explore so many and listen to things that are not your typical artists. Like I even have music on there. I'm not promoting myself. I'm just saying anyone can put music on there, sell it or make it free or whatever. So yeah, Bandcamp is a great site to go look for artists. I've discovered so many underground artists. I bought records. I mean, this album back here above me, Black Milk album, I bought through Bandcamp. RFL, most of my underground collection that I play on my show, I got from playing at RFL. Just how it is, man. It's just being there, learned it all from them. You know, other stations like WEBN are around, they're uniquely qualified to give you good stuff too. So, you know, you can find things that way. So our station is a great place. The people here, you can also, you know, just search a progressive artist. Like if you put in an artist's name, like if you put in Run the Jewels, you can find out everything about them. I took an artist and did that. I put it in and the internet has told me some things. You couldn't do this before. I would have had to search all over a record store and pull up several records and figure it out. Now I can just go online. So I reviewed the Silent Titan album a few weeks ago. So when I put in Silent Titan, it pulls this up and tells me all about the artist, right? So I can learn all of the different songs the artist has. But if I scroll down on that same page, it gives me these artists to check out: Prince Poe, Metaphor, Rock, Odyssey, Oh No. So boom, there's the videos of Silent Titan. So there's all of this stuff there for you already at WRFL. So basically, I'm sorry, on the internet. So those sources are good for underground music, and we're constantly the sources are going to evolve with technology. There's going to be new websites to take place of others. Like I said, I know Bandcamp's not the only site out there. There are others. I'm not the be all end all on where to find independent music, but there's tons of places, and you just got to look. And that's the thing is, it's not just going to jump out at you. If it did, it'd be on the charts. You've got to actually sometimes dig deep, and that's why you got to have a love for music to really push yourself to do that, because our station's mission is bigger than all of our personal taste. It's bigger than you playing a song by Rush. Ba-dum-bum. Discogs, eBay, great places to find underground material from the past. If you can't go fly places and look in different record stores, go there. So crate digging is what I do a lot of. So this stuff right here is just some resources. I've actually put that in a thing, so I'm not even going to get into that. I'm going to get back into the meeting and see if you guys have any questions. That was my PowerPoint. I know I went pretty fast, but I will say that the thing you should have got out of that is, as far as current stuff, we got record stores. We got DJs at RFL, right? We got searching online through the artist's name and finding artists similar to that artist. We got things in our play box from Michael, man. He gives all kinds of great stuff. We also got Bandcamp. Boom, there you go. So, am I back in?
You are back in. Hi, right. Thank you so much. Wow, I'm so happy with that presentation. You have great reviews going right now in the comments.
Where?
On the video. Let's see. You have, a couple questions.
Couple of questions. Let's see.
Couple questions. All right. So Noah Oldham asked, "What are some of your favorite crate digging finds?"
Digging finds. Oh wow. Man, I actually one time I did dig up an original pressing of a Fela Kuti record, and that was kind of mind blowing. Geez, man. So many great things. I've had. There used to be a record store in the old Cut Corner spot above Crumbs called 808 Records in the early 2000s.
Really?
And, yeah.
I thought it was always an apartment building.
No. And actually, yeah, right above it, that was the original Cut Corner Records. But in the early 2000s, 808 Records was on the corner down there across from Two Keys. And I guess the rent was too high. And then the guy moved it to above that place. And when he did, he ended up selling it to these guys, these two guys. And one of them is I'm not going to say their names, but they owned 808 Records. And they had one of them went to a yard sale. And this guy had this collection of old school hip hop that was like, I don't know how many records, like 500 records. And he was like, yeah, man, my wife is telling me I got to get rid of all my old school records. You can have all those records for like $100. And they just went and bought all these records and put them out on their thing and had them all marked at like $1 and $2 and stuff. And these were things that were like $20 and $15 records. And they were all like $1 a piece. And I was just kind of like, whoa. And that Sharif actually called me. He's like, man, I picked up a couple of these records, and all I could think of, Tom, man, all these records had your name on it, man. This is like your whole show, and they're freaking right there in their store. And I went in, and I walked out like a stack like this of records, and they were probably, I don't know, man. They were probably worth about $400. I think I paid like $35 for them. So that was a pretty amazing find. That's happened one time in my life.
That's crazy. That's wild. Okay, so someone else asked, how do you feel LimeWire changed the industry and changed
Well, I'm not even super duper honestly familiar with LimeWire. Is it kind of like Bandcamp where people put their music online?
LimeWire was a place where you could just illegally get music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Again, getting music illegally, I think, is a double-edged sword in itself. I think if it's somebody mainstream and they're making bukus or whatever, I have no problem with it. When it's some little indie group, I feel bad. I mean, if it's some independent group that's just putting stuff out, I feel like they should somehow get compensated for what they do so they can keep doing what they do. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So
I don't.
Our graduate assistant, Mary Clark, asks, Bandcamp is my favorite, but I'm curious how you feel about SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, you know, SoundCloud's interesting because you can do it for free, just kind of like Bandcamp. I don't think you can actually sell merchandise on SoundCloud, but you can get it out to people. And I think that's one of the coolest things in the world to do is be able to get stuff out. I used to put a lot of mixes on there. In fact, I think on my SoundCloud right now, I've got actual individual tracks I've done, but my reggae mix, the last one I made, which is like 2014, it's like an hour long. It's like one track is a whole hour of reggae, is still on there. And I have people that tell me, I'm like, I go to take it down. They're like, no, leave it up. I still listen to that when I'm out on the beach with my headphones. I'm like, okay, I'll leave it up. So yeah, SoundCloud's cool.
Very cool. Tommy, earlier when we were just talking, you showed me that comic book. And for the people watching, I think it'd be really cool if you showed them that too.
Yeah, so a lot of people know me just for the hip hop part of my life, which is a big part of it, obviously. But I was trying to make this as general because I know that a lot of people probably don't just focus on hip hop the way I do, and they probably have a certain type of music they like. But if you really wanted to learn more about it, and you don't have Netflix to watch The Get Down, I guess that's a pretty good. We talked about that being a good show, but there's this comic called The Hip Hop Family Tree, and I think there are 3 or 4. I only have 2 of them right now, but the guy that did this, his name is Ed Pisker, and you can actually, I think if you put in hiphopfamilytree.com or his name, Ed Pisker, there it is. I think you can find it online and look at it electronically, but it's set up like a 70s comic book. I've read it online. I've actually not even really opened this one, but really good history because it's like it gives it, not only is it pretty accurate, but it gives it this mythological comic book feel for hip hop. Makes them like these superheroes, like Run DMC.
Very cool. So I see you have a very vast record collection. How many years do you think you've been collecting?
I've been collecting since the 80s. Let's just say that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Most of my show is actually behind me over here. Like this is a lot of my old school hip hop is back here. I got it all organized, 80s, 90s, singles, etc. There's where I make my shows every week now since we're not on the radio. My turntables are right there behind me. And then, of course, over here on this side, we got like the funk and the soul. And then up in that corner over there, there's a bunch of like hip hop records I know I would need for a party. So I don't have to like look through all the others to find them, like some Wu-Tang, some Lauryn Hill and things like that. Yes. So, and there's the, next to the turntables there, you'll see my MPC, which it's an MPC 2000 XL. Most of the great hip hop from the golden era in the 90s and the early 2000s were created on that very type of machine. In fact, I think Company Flow and El Producto, before he did Run the Jewels, actually did make whole albums on that machine like that. So there you go, a little knowledge.
Very cool. Allison Pinn asks, is there ever a limit to how much you try to collect, or do you just try and catch them all?
As I've gotten older, I've learned I definitely curate more. When I was younger, I would just grab whatever I could. And when I first graduated college, I'm a teacher. I didn't make a whole lot of money, but I had to do all of these jobs that I got paid very little. And I thought suddenly, because I was getting a check for, as a teacher, I was suddenly thought I had a whole lot of money. So I started going crazy and mainly using a credit card. And I kind of just went nuts. And I would travel to Louisville and do a lot of treks and go to Ear Ecstasy when they were open and just buy up as much as I could of everything for my show and just to have and everything else. Now it's just kind of like I only purchase things that I feel like, I really feel it here, or something that maybe I had from years ago that I hadn't seen. And I've been trying to find that record and I'm like, oh my God, I got to pick this up. But yeah, I'm definitely more selective now. I'm actually trying to trim it down to just the essentials.
All right. Our general manager, Becky Fulton, asks, who is the most unorthodox hip hop artist you've come across in your years of collecting and listening?
Unorthodox. Well, let's see. I mean, a lot of people would probably go towards ODB of Wu-Tang Clan, right? Because that guy was kind of wild. I mean, heck, he was on MTV with like all of his kids in a limo going to get his welfare check, and then he gets it on MTV and shows it. Of course, then he gets investigated and taken away. That's pretty crazy. But non-mainstream artist, I would say, like as far as delivery and flow and everything, there's this guy on this group called the Shapeshifters, and his name is Circus, and he is probably one of the most bizarre. Like sometimes he doesn't even rhyme; he just connects ideas. There was a song that came out that was in our play box on a compilation called "Beneath the Surface," which sounds perfect for RFL, and it's called "Farmer's Market of the Beast." And every rapper was rapping like they're an animal. Like one guy's rapping like really fast, like I'm an iguana, and then one guy's rapping really slow because he's a rhinoceros. Do you feel the war of the predator? And then it comes to Circus, and he's supposed to be a monkey, and he just starts mentioning any phrase that has the word monkey in it. Like he's like, monkey see, monkey do, a box of monkeys. I'm a monkey's uncle. They're eating monkey brains as a delicacy. Monkey, monkey. And it was just like, he did this for like 8 minutes. So like the song is like, or maybe it was more like 4 minutes. The song's like 8 or 9 minutes long, and 4 of it is just him just saying anything that comes to his head. And at first you're like, this doesn't even make any sense, but then it just gets real hypnotic, and you just kind of fall into what he's saying. You're like, geez, this is way more heady than I thought. So, Circus.
Very cool. That was an awesome answer. Awesome. Allison asks, what are some hip hop artists you're into today? Like some of the artists of today. Which ones are you into?
Current stuff. Obviously, I can't stress Run the Jewels enough. My two of my favorite right now. One of them would be this guy here. This is Black Milk. It's actually signed. Got it in New York. This album was in the Playbox 2 years ago, and I reviewed it. And then he had a second album, or actually that wasn't even his second album, but that is probably, it's probably like his 7th or 8th album. But he's still putting material out, and he had an album that came out after that was in the Playbox I reviewed. But he raps, and a lot of his stuff is very powerful and social political stuff. But he also produces everything, and he has a live band that tours with him. And the cool thing was, when I saw him live, I bought his album on Bandcamp in the summer of 2018, and I realized it was going to be sent in mail when I was in New York going to actually see him in concert, because it took it so long. I called or I emailed his manager, and she's like, you know what? If you're going to be at a show in New York, I'm going to be working the merch booth. Instead of us sending it and it's sitting on your doorstep in the sun and melting until you get back from New York, just get it from me. I've already got your money. Just tell me who you are. So I went to saw him in New York, and she remembered me and gave me the album. And then he comes up and hangs out and gets my picture and shakes my hand. It was really cool. So it's kind of cool to meet your idols. So Black Milk. Another one of my favorites is a guy named Odyssey, Oddisee. And he's another one of those guys that produces and raps too. And like he has like a lot of instrumental albums, and he has some where he's doing both. It's just instrumental or him rapping on some of the songs. But it's kind of cool. Maybe my attraction to them is because I do that too. I produce beats and then rap and scratch over stuff. I don't know if that's what attracts me to those kind of MCs, but you got those two guys. Open Mike Eagle, he's another dope MC. Jean Grey, her husband, I think it's her husband, Quell Chris, he's another one that a lot of people are into. I'm kind of starting to like, a lot of my friends are pulling me into him, but Homeboy Sandman is another one. He's been putting material out for a decade plus, but still dropping some of the coolest stuff. MC Paul Barman, the guy raps like on a graduate level. I think supposedly the legend is he got his rap contract originally in the late 90s because he did his dissertation in a rap form, and it was so good they were like, you should maybe make albums or something. I don't know. That's the rumor. I could be totally off with that. So Paul Barman,
it's a pretty sick rumor. I mean, to do a whole dissertation rapping, that's talent.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a hip hop record you want really bad that you don't have right now or you can't find?
Let's see. Yeah, there's a few. Maybe, and it's only because maybe the second album by the Dream Warriors, which I would have never even heard of those guys if they weren't in the Playbox at RFL. What else? I need a new copy of this. Mine's falling apart. played it too much.
Yeah, I would have probably 5 of those in my collection if I had the money. I love that record. Okay, and Joe Will asks, favorite record store of all time? Maybe do Lexington and then do anywhere.
Okay, Lexington of all time, man. Wow. I'm partial too because I have a lot of my friends.
Including CD Central because we love them. But
I was gonna say, you know, Cut Corner in that same spot before them. I don't know how many tapes I got from them that were like promo tapes. So like when you go buy a cassettes are like $7 or $8, and they'd have a promo and it'd be like $2. And I bought like probably just stacks of tapes from them. So I guess Cut Corner, maybe for local. All time, all over the place. Maybe A1 Records in New York City. It's in the Village. It's one of the few that's still there. It's crazy, man. 10 years ago, you go to New York. I remember when I first went to New York in 2009, and I was being told that record stores are already shutting down or closing. But I know I went to like 20 or 25 record stores. I went back and a year later, and there was like 16. I was in there in 2018, and of all those other, it's like 5. You know, so it's like from 25 to 5. And it's like, so A1 Records, I'll pick them.
Very cool. All right, Tommy. Again, thank you for being our first presenter here on ConceptX. Thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to check back in about a month for another installment of ConceptX. And again, big round of applause virtually for Tommy. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed your presentation.
It's been an
Very
honor.
knowledgeable. Great teacher in all senses. So thank you and have a good night.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Peace.